So welcome to exercise 2 for self-acceptance. Please make sure to read through the information before this exercise. Here we're talking about comparison, and this is an exercise that is designed to help you to just let go of comparison. Although, as you read in the material, it can be helpful, and it is helpful when done in a certain way. This critical comparison that is just a voice that punishes us and makes us feel bad is not helpful at all. So this exercise is designed for you to work with, for you to practice, to repeat, to train over time. And it is a really powerful tool that should be able to help you soften and eventually let go of some of the stories that you might have in your head on the topic of comparison. As a side note, the specific 4 questions we are going to ask in this exercise come from the work or are inspired by the work of Byron Katie. So if you haven't read the book, The Work from Byron Katie, if you're not familiar with her material, I would highly recommend that you take some time to check her out. She is very interesting, very simple, the process that she offers, and it's very effective. So that is why we're going to take a little time to learn my interpretation of this now. So sitting in the space that we learned before, left hand over the low belly, right hand over your chest, and just taking time again to come into your breath. So every time you start an exercise, you really want to take 5 to 10 slow, long breaths in and out. This will just help you to relax, to come into your body, to calm the mind, and just to really soften. And in that place of softening, we can then be a little bit more open to the work that we're going to do, to the tools that we use. Once you've connected to your breath, start to rub your thumb lovingly and gently across the center of your chest. Feeling that contact, that loving connection. And now for this exercise, we need to have a comparison story in our minds. So the one that I'm going to use to explain the exercise to you is a comparison story that still comes to me, that I still work with. And it is the story, she is more successful than me. So it's me comparing myself to, someone I see on Instagram, something happens, I see someone, and then the story gets triggered, and then along comes the critical voice of comparison with its beautiful whip to punish me. So, she is more successful than me. This is the comparison story I'm going to use as I explain step 5 of this exercise to you. So the first part is to ask ourselves, is this true? So here, if I use my comparison story, I ask myself, is she is more successful than me true? And we need to be very honest with ourselves. We don't want to play into the story. We need to really step outside and really look at the story from distance and explore the question. Is this really true? Honestly, I don't know. If I see a person who has, I don't know how many likes on her picture on Instagram and how many comments and looks beautiful, I don't know that she's more successful than me. And the other point to this is, what does successful actually mean? Can I define that? Can I break it down? When I explore that word, what it means for me is going to be very personal in comparison to what it means for any other person. So she is more successful than me. At the moment, this is looking like a very vague, ambiguous statement. At the moment, it's not really looking like it's very grounded in reality or in truth. It's looking a little bit like bullshit. Okay, so we keep breathing. And once we've really examined the question, is this true? And really held the magnifying glass over our statement, our comparison story. The next part is that we ask, how can I 100% know that this is honestly true? And if I look at that story, she is more successful than me. I can't because what is successful? As we just saw, I can't even clarify or quantify that. I can't measure it. So I can't compare my units of success to her units of success. And I don't even know her. So how? I don't know what she's been through or her story or her fears and insecurities. I don't know how much money she has or hasn't got in the bank account. I don't know what she thinks about when she's going to sleep at night, how she feels when she wakes up. And I have no idea. Her pictures are great. I don't know anything else about her. I have no idea. So when I look at the second part, how can I 100% know this story is true? I can't. It's bullshit. I cannot know it's true. I just can't. Okay. So once we look at that, once we ask these two questions, is this true? How can I 100% honestly know this is true? The third part is, how does this comparison story make me feel in my body? How does it make me feel in my emotions, in my mind? How does it make me feel? So when I think about my story, she is more successful than me, I feel really sad. Honestly, I feel like there's a pressure on my chest, like someone's pushing on my chest. I feel really sad. There's a tightness in my throat. My tongue feels heavy. And I just want to curl up into a ball. And I want everybody to go away. That's how I feel. That's what happens when that story starts. That is the reaction my being has. So the final part of this is, what would you be, or who would you be, when you wouldn't think this anymore? How would you feel when you wouldn't think this anymore? Well, I would be freer. I would be lighter. Oh God, I would feel like a burden. When I explore that in myself, I would feel like a burden is lifting off of me. I would feel like I could stand taller and lighter. I think I would feel more curious and excited about life. I would feel really free. Yeah. So this is me going through that process with my comparison story. And now step 6 of this exercise is to take 2 minutes to visualize 5-part D in yourself. So you really want to take time for this, to feel it and to embody it. So if I do that, I am feeling that freedom. I am feeling standing tall. I'm feeling looking at an Instagram picture and not having this story. I'm feeling maybe indifference. I am feeling this lightness in my chest instead of the heaviness I spoke about. I'm feeling this ease in my throat instead of the restriction. I'm feeling like I want to do this. So we want to really visualize the effect of not having that story, and the effect on our body, mind, and feelings, spirit, all of it. So take time with that. That's the part 6 of this exercise. And then, like we do anytime we've come into this space, as we did in the last exercise, I recommend doing 3 really deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. To just, again, ground yourself after going on that journey. It can be quite intense. Even though on one hand it feels quite light, it can take us quite deep. So it's important that we enter into these exercises slowly and mindfully through breath and through loving compassion. And it's important that we come out of them, slowly and mindfully through breath, through movement, stretching, if that feels good for us. So this can be a wonderful exercise that you can take on the road. And I would recommend just going with that one, the first comparative thought that comes to you. You're going to have one that you've caught yourself doing before. So whatever that one is, see if you can work with that. Choose it, or maybe it's choosing you, and just explore it in this structure for the next 2 weeks and see what happens. Again, if you have questions about this, let me know. I'm happy to have a chat with you.